Hello. Seems as if you're interested in learning how to program Java. Cool stuff. First thing we gotta do is get a way for you to even program in it. So first thing you want to do is check what version your computer has. So for example, mine has a 64-bit system, and you want to remember that. So then you want to go to Eclipse on the web browser of your choice. Hopefully not Internet Explorer, because that sucks. And you want to click on download. I recommend, so you can use the installer if you'd like. I don't recommend it because I had 2 previous takes of this episode where the installer failed. So that's up to you if you want to take that risk. So if you're a C++ or C robotics team, you want to click on one of these, or this one right here, Eclipse IDE for C, C++. If you're a team like mine, 1559, a Java team, you want to click on this one right here, and then you want to select what version you have, or in whatever PC you have. I have a Windows 64-bit PC, so I'll click on that one. And then you just click download. I'll save that just in case it fails, because it probably will, knowing my luck. Okay, then we want to open the folder. Hopefully you have some way to extract this. If you don't, you might want to just try the installer, but thankfully I do have a way. And let's see how long it takes. Hopefully not that long. Oh, and I should mention that if you're doing this method, you might want to find a place to put it, preferably somewhere that's not on a desktop, because, you know, that's a bad place. So I'm just going to put it in my program files. And oh, it's done. Oh, no, it's not. But it should be done pretty quickly. Oh, I probably should have introduced myself. I'm Michael from Software Sub Team. 1559 is our robotics team, FRC team. Hopefully you are a Java team if you're watching these series, because this is really just going to be Java. My team doesn't use C++ or C that much, even at all, so this isn't going to be a very good tutorial for C++, but you can watch this part for just, you know, installing Eclipse, because, I mean, pretty much every robotics team I know uses it. But it's almost done here. Come on. Thank you. We're going to copy that to there. Wait for it to finish, because that's a lot of, not really a lot of files, but it's a decent amount, I guess. I sound very rushed, don't I? Okay, so now that this is installed, hopefully we can make a shortcut of this. Create shortcut down here. Just rename it, I guess. This version of Eclipse is called Photon. I'll just pin that to start. Probably a good idea, because if you're on a robotics team, you're going to be using Eclipse a lot. You might as well just pin it to your task bar here as well, and also on the Windows whatever. Okay, and then you just click on that and hope it works. That'd be great. Seems like it. It's probably just getting some first time run stuff out of the way, I'm sure. Come on. You can go faster. Well, I guess while we wait for this to load, I guess we can talk, but how are you guys excited for a new season? Oh, yeah, just post in the comments or something like that, because obviously you can't answer me. Okay, so here's something important. Eclipse IDE uses the Workspace Directory, blah, blah, blah. Basically, it's asking you where do you want to save all your files. And I have a different location with all my previous files, so I'll just go to that one. But you want to pick a place that's probably somewhere you'll remember. usually your users files, but I mean, I already have a previous one, and you want to checkbox this. Use this as the default and do not ask again, otherwise it'll prompt you every time. Okay, it's written with an older version of the product and will be updated. Okay, don't worry about that. That probably won't happen to you if you're installing this for the first time. Jeez, can't believe I've already been through 2 takes of this. I think I already said that earlier, but I guess I have a short memory span. But, jeez. Okay, so you'll see some things here that you don't have to worry about, like that. Don't worry about that. Okay, and then you don't. Oh shoot, I probably should have had those not open. Okay, don't worry about these either. All right, we're finally in. Hopefully, you have everything working. If not, I don't know. You can leave something in the comments. I'll try to help you out. Or I'm sure there's a bunch of tutorials online. But anyway, now that you're in here, you want to right-click. You should have this package explorer by default. Unless you don't, then it's probably, I think it's Windows. Show view. It's Windows. If you don't have it, Windows Show View and then Package Explorer right here. Okay. Thankfully, we already have it open. So you want to click New Java Project. Project name doesn't really matter right now. I'll just name it Test because, well, it doesn't really matter. There we go. Okay. Then on this, you want to create a new package. Call it whatever, it doesn't really matter. I'll just name it test2, I guess. Okay, now that you have this package, you want to create a new class. I'll name this tutorial. I probably spelled that wrong, although maybe I didn't. Okay, so a lot of you probably have already dabbled in programming. I know on the people on my team definitely have, but let's assume you have never programmed before. Okay. The most important thing you want to know when you're programming is, when you're starting out, is the main method. Public static void main parenthesis string square brackets args. ARGS. That's what us programmers call the main method. It's your basic, your standard. Pretty much everyone uses it. For robotics, when we get into the more robotics related stuff, you don't really use it that much, but for the purposes of this video, we're going to be using it a lot, and also the rest of the videos in this Introduction to Java series. Okay, but now you have this thing. Now we're going to talk about variables. A variable, in the simplest form, is something that can store information that can be used and accessed later. For example, let me define a variable right now. Int x equals 0, semicolon. In Java and pretty much every other programming language, a semicolon just means the end of a line. If you don't have it, it'll give you errors. So you typically, when you're writing code, it'll end in a semicolon. For the purposes of this video especially, there'll only be semicolons at the end. Jeez, I need to breathe. Okay. Int x equals 0. Okay. An integer is a value that is just 0. It's an integer. 0, 1, 2, etc. Right? All integer values, negatives too. And you can do a lot of things with x. So for example, I can make a line where I just, let's say I want to declare a new variable, int y, that is equal to x plus 1. Okay. Y is now equal to whatever x is plus 1. It's pretty much like algebra at this point. Okay, and then let's say I want to update x. I want x to equal 10 now. You can do that. That's pretty nice. Integers are what are classified as primitive data types. And that basically means that, well, they don't act like classes, but we'll get into classes a lot later. For now, you don't have to worry about it too much. Okay, let's do some basic addition, or maybe multiplication would probably be better. So let's define x as maybe not 0, 2. And we're gonna take int y set that equal to 4. Okay. Cool stuff. And we're going to make int z equal to, well, x times y. Oh, well, it would have helped if I did the right symbol. Right? All that stuff is the same in Java. It works exactly how you'd expect. Next we're going to get into doubles. A double is just real numbers. 1.0, 3.14159, all pi, whatever. A double is just, well, it has a decimal point. That's really all it means. So I could have, let's say, double x equals 1.2, okay? And double y equals 2.3. It doesn't matter. They work pretty much exactly like integers, except with one huge problem, especially with integers. So let's say I have int x equals 7, and int y equals 2. Oh, so I probably should have put my semicolon there. Don't ever forget to do that, because it's you don't want that to happen. Okay, I know I know immediately we're gonna think when I'm doing this. You have to remember this. This is like it's kind of the thing that's the most annoying about Java and some other programming languages, but it kind of has to do this. So you'll notice immediately, okay, x divided by y. Okay, 7 divided by 2. 3.5, right? Well, in Java, when you take an integer and divide it by another integer, you get an integer. It doesn't produce a double. If I wanted to get a double, first off, I'd have to change this to a double. And also, I could change one of these to a double. For example, double x and make that 7.0. Or I could just cast one of these. But you don't have to worry about casting for a while. Okay. Geez, that's a lot. All right. Doubles and ints. That's what we've covered so far. Again, if you have any more questions about those, I'd be happy to help you. And also know that at the end of this video, there'll be an assignment to help you learn. Right? If you have any questions about that too, I can answer those. Alrighty. And also, I'll always go over the answers to those at the beginning of the next video. Alright, so we covered doubles and ints. What's next? Booleans. Booleans have 2 values. Let's define a Boolean right here. Okay. Boolean x equals true. Basically, a Boolean just stores true or false values. Okay, so Boolean x equals true. Alrighty. It's important. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to make another Boolean. I don't know why I have so many spaces. Also, I should spell right. Boolean y equals false. This is where I'm going to introduce you to comparing variables. I probably should have done it earlier, but you know what? It doesn't really matter. I'm going to create a new Boolean z that is that equals whatever value x equals y produces. So if you haven't worked much with Boolean logic, then you might not get this, but basically what this is saying is x and y the same? No, they're not. False. This statement is false. So Boolean z also equals false. You can do this with integers too. Int x equals 0. Int y equals 2. Here, let me just do this. Okay. If I type in a new Boolean, say Boolean p equals, and you don't have to put parentheses by the way, but I like to just because then I don't have to worry about where the parentheses go. y1. Boolean p is set to if these two are the same value. They aren't. That's one thing you'll have to remember for primitive data types, is that you always use the equals operator for comparisons. When we get into classes and strings, which strings will be right next, then you'll have to use the dot equals, but you don't have to worry about that, at least for the moment. Okay, for simplicity, Booleans, they pretty much just act as true or false, and ways to compare things. in true or false states. You get the idea. Okay, so we covered Booleans. Again, if you have any more questions, I'd be happy to help. Or the internet is a vast place that you can check out too. That's pretty much where I learned how to code. Alrighty. Next, strings. Strings are basically words, phrases, that kind of stuff. Actually, I just remembered. Let's actually hold off on strings. There's something else that's basically, it's going to help you a lot with understanding strings. Characters. For simplicity's sake, characters aren't really that important, so we're not going to talk too much about them. We're going to go pretty much right into strings. But a character is a data type that exists. Okay? It uses the single quotations, and it stores one symbol. That's it. That's a character. You don't really have to worry about them a whole lot. For the purposes of this, we're not going to really focus on them a whole lot because they don't serve much of a purpose. Strings are honestly more useful, and also, well, you'll see right now actually, you can just use a string instead of a character. So for example, let's say I have string x equals a. Like I just had before the character, it's the same thing. But a string can also store a lot more information. So you can see, and you might notice something weird. How come this has a capital S? Well, it has to do with Java's formatting in that double, ints, booleans, and chars, they are primitive data types, and string is a class. Well, strings are like this, for example, x is an object, string is the class. Don't have to worry about that too much for now, but just know that a string is not a primitive data type. It is not like doubles, ints, booleans, and chars. And a lot of you might be thinking, is there more data types? Yes, there's longs, and maybe a few others I'm not thinking of, but you won't usually use them that much. Floats too. You don't have to worry about those for the most part. They aren't used that much because most things have enough memory to support all doubles. Anyway, let's get back to strings because those are honestly really fun to play with. No, don't read into that. Okay, strings. Other than that, I mean, you can do a lot more with them. Also, if you want to compare strings, say I had string x equals a, and string y equals capital A, right? You'll notice it gives me an error because the string is not a primitive data type. It needs capital S. Okay, but if I wanted to compare these, let's say I had a Boolean comp for compare, actually I'll just type out compare, equals x dot. The dot operator you use with classes. Well, actually you use them with objects, but you can also use them with basically with strings. You type the name of the variable you declared, dot, if you want to access any methods that are associated with it. A method is basically just a line of code that can be used at multiple times in different areas. We'll get into those in a whole lot later of a video, but for now, just know that you can use them. They're basically there to help you. Okay, so let's say, okay, so the important thing to know is you cannot use the equals equals operator with primitive data types. Well, you can, but here's the weird thing. When it's looking for these, you can see it definitely works, right? You can tell that the equals equals operator is working, right? You lied to us, Michael, how dare you? No. What it's really comparing with the equals equals operator is, do they point to the same location in memory? Are x and y at the same point in memory? The answer is no, because they're different, and also they're two different declared variables. So no, that's not what we're comparing. We want to know if the contents are the same. Okay. Then you do x dot equals y. That will tell you if the contents of this are equal to this. And obviously we know that it will return false, or if we were to print it out, it would print false, because, you know, duh. Those two are not the same. And also I should mention, if you want to print things out ever, it's system.out.print or print line. If you type print, it'll print everything on the same line until you do a new line. Like if you type in print line or something else that you don't have to worry about for now, print line will just print everything on a new line after its current one. So for example, if I printed AAA, AAA, it would create a new line after 3 A's. So you gotta use that to plan it out, but whatever. Okay. Next thing, equals ignore case for comparison. For strings, this just basically means that are these two the same if you don't care about their case, which basically means that computer sees this as 2 lowercase a's. Yep, those are the same. Okay, sweet. Good to know. Alrighty, so we're gonna backspace on that. I'm trying to think of anything else I need to teach you. Okay, so probably the most common thing that people will do is hello world program. I pretty much just showed you how to do that. You just type in system.out.println. If I could type hello world to show you I'm not bluffing, you can press this little green button, the little play button, and there you go. You have said hello to the world in Java. Nice job. So, I'm trying to think of anything else I can go over. Okay, so I'm probably going to cover this in a later video as well. But something I want to mention is what you can't do with variable names. For example, you can't start with a number. Boolean 1, let's say, app equals 2. It'll give you an error. And also, well, that doesn't even work. Okay. It'll give you an error that says you can't start with a 1. Okay. You also can't start with that. Well, actually, you can, I guess. So forget about that. You can start with a $sign, yes. Cannot start with a question mark. Basically, the only symbols that you can start it with are the $sign and the underscore, or capital letter or lowercase letter. Other than that, you can't start with numbers or anything like that. And also, I'm sure your sub-team lead of software will mention this to you a lot. Whenever you program, please give your variable names that are easy to understand what they do. For example, if I named a variable named do something, okay, well, I know it might do something, but can you be more specific? Like if I named a variable, say, run or shooter state. Let's say you have a shooter. Okay, this is a lot better, but still not the greatest. If I said shooter, say motor state. Okay, so true probably means it's on, false probably means it's off. That's a great variable name. Pretty important to do. Try to name them good names, because trust me, it makes reading code a lot easier. And also, I'm going to teach you real basic commenting. Okay. If you want to leave comments in code, you just type // or you can type /*, enter, and there you go. Then you can type whatever you want. Okay. Whatever. And then I'll go over comments more in a different video, but I mean, for now, you pretty much got it. You are now set. You now know primitive data types. I'm going to go over them again. The ones that you'll be likely using are ints, doubles. Yes, it's giving me errors, I know. Doubles, booleans, possibly chars, and string. These five variable types are pretty much the only ones you'll ever be using. Like I said, there's also longs, floats, and probably a lot more that I can't think of off the top of my head, but for the most part, you probably won't be using those. Okay, I'm sure this is a really exciting video, but that's it. You've learned the basics of Java. You also installed Eclipse. Installing Eclipse, that's the hard one, to be honest with you. So you learned about primitive data types. Next episode, I believe we are talking about, I can't remember off the top of my head. Let me check real quick. Yes, you can see. Shoot, I can't remember off the top of my head. I'm sorry. Should be more prepared when I record these videos. Let's see here. Yes, you can see I haven't actually finished the project, or finished the whatever. Let's see here. Shoot, I thought I had these I thought I already had these. Okay, oh, okay. Yeah, that's right. Okay, so next time we'll be covering if-else statements. Geez, took me forever to figure that out. Anyway, thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next episode. I hope you learned a little bit today. I'll see you next time.